So it sounds like there are a ton of problems with these flat rate taxable allowances. So, I mean, simple question, isn't there a better way? Like, hasn't somebody realized this and figured this out?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And luckily, it's the people who created these, these taxation systems. So the IRS has created programs to help enable businesses. I don't want to say to get around, but just to be compliant so that these reimbursements can be paid out fairly. It's a business expense. There's lots of business expenses that can be a business expense for the reason of a tax break. And employee reimbursement should certainly be in there. So the IRS has actually created three main programs that I want to discuss today, and I think are very important. First one's going to be CPM, which is a nice and simple acronym, nice and simple program too. Pretty basic, is just a cents per mile program. Collecting the miles and seeing how things are going there, and just making sure that you're tracking that, and then you pay out the per mile rate, which works really well for companies who have drivers who are only driving like a little bit here and there. The rate for 2024 is currently 67 cents a mile, which is good. But the one drawback with it is sometimes, if you have a driver that's driving a lot, you're paying them a lot of money to drive, because that 67 cents covers a lot of fees, which is great for somebody who just needs to do a small run. But if they're doing a lot of mileage, that's going to add up, and you're paying your drivers a lot of money at that point. So that's the first program. Second one that we step into is very applicable to what we're talking about today with the allowances. And that would be the TFCA, so the tax-free car allowance, or section 463 of the IRS tax book. And so this takes a look at, paying out that allowance, but then paying it out in a way and tracking it in a way that the IRS likes. That makes them happy, so they can see where the expenses are going, the reason why this is being paid out. So there's a couple things that we need to track on that I want to get to later. But that's kind of the main thing with 463 or TFCA. Last one that is quite popular and we find works well for a lot of businesses, especially with drivers who are high mileage, driving a couple thousand miles a year, and then with a good chunk of drivers using personal vehicles, is what's called a FAVR program. So it's a fixed and variable rate program. So this gets built out with a fixed rate based on the car, as we just talked about. So you can select between different employees. If somebody's using a truck, they're going to be getting that fixed rate for the truck instead of just a sedan, and vice versa for the sedan as well. And then you pay a variable rate on top of that. So that kind of relates back to that cents per mile. Now with the FAVR program, the variable rate's normally less than the cents per mile program because you already have that fixed rate coming out. But one of the main key things to note about a FAVR program, which a lot of employees like and a lot of companies like, is the fact that it's the only program where you can actually pay over, that cents per mile rate. By creating these rich vehicle profiles, which again, I want to get to a bit later here, you're able to pay a good chunk to your employees and make them really happy. So they feel good about using their vehicle, they feel good about coming to work, and they feel like they're being properly reimbursed.